Good afternoon, distinguished DGens. It's Jason Money Mansman coming to you live again, solo video once again for the first half of the NFL Week 8 picks. We did this before. Last year really separated the picks. We started doing them all in one video, Big Bucks and I, but this time I'm going to do them myself. And when you're flying solo like I am, you can split up the picks into two halves. So I'm going to do the early games in this video, and then I'm going to do another stream, and take the second half of the picks. As was the case before, shout out to Big Bucks Beta. Got married. I think he just got back from his mini honeymoon, so good for him. Glad he's having a good time. He's not here with me tonight, but that's okay. I will go. Not take up too much of your time, but I will give my picks for all of the NFL Week 8 games. But first off, just a brief sort of recap of the game last night. I predicted it correctly. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did cover at the 8.5 number that handicapped it last time. And like I said, really, maybe a little bit of a lucky cover. The Bills' offense looked great in the first half, moved the ball a lot. Buccaneers kind of got lucky with that tipped interception to keep the game close. But I don't know, man. This Buffalo Bills offense does not look like the Buffalo Bills offense that we saw earlier in the season. They get a win. It's a much-needed win against a bad opponent. Couldn't really afford to lose that game when you're fighting to stay in the AFC playoff race. So, as a Bills fan, I'm not going to celebrate a win like that. It was a much-needed win. Thankfully, they get a 10-day break. You saw Josh Allen with the shoulder there. He played tremendous despite dealing with the injury. He needs some time to rest up. So all in all, the Bills get the win. The Bucs get the cover, maybe as expected. The under in the game did hit as the Bills offense really sort of, lost their steam later on in the game. So, a big win for them. We start off the week strong without Big Bucks. Who knows? Maybe I'll do all these videos myself if I have a good week and Big Bucks isn't here. But no, obviously much more interesting than me sort of talking at the camera. But that's okay. I'm going to do it now. So we are going to get right into the picks here. Like I said the last time, and I'm going to just give you the most recent odds here on my phone. So I'm going to be using the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So I'll give you the most live odds here. First game on the slate, we got the Philadelphia Eagles going to Washington. These teams played a couple weeks ago, close 3-point game. Eagles laying 7 points on the road. Their money line is set at minus 325, plus 260 on the comeback for the Commanders. Over under set at 43.5. Feel like this is an overreaction. I like the Eagles when they were 6.5 earlier in the week. 7's not the best number, but I think the Eagles are going to cruise here. They've had 8 straight road wins against the NFC. I think they got caught by this team. Maybe look ahead spot earlier in the year. I don't think they take this game for granted. They actually have a big game coming up against the Cowboys, so I think they're going to want to put forward a good performance before they play, their biggest division rival. Washington is kind of falling apart. I think Ron Rivera's days are numbered, so definitely on the Eagles here. The Eagles defense is starting to play better. I don't see Sam Howell getting, 31 points against this team again. I am going to go to the over, though. I think mainly Washington's defense, I think they're close to nail it in time. They gave up 34 last time. I could see the Eagles offense putting up those points again. And at 43.5, it's not going to take much for Washington to get that done. So it's my handicap for that one. Moving right along, second game, New England Patriots, after their big win against my Buffalo Bills, going to Miami. Line is at 9.5 right now in favor of the Dolphins. Minus 470 on the money line, plus 360 on the comeback for the Patriots. Over under set at 47. This will really only be a tease play for me. I don't like the line because Miami was only a 1.5 point favorite the first time these teams played. Miami did win by 7 in New England earlier in the year. Um, New England, we know the struggles they've had against Miami in recent years. The Dolphins have covered 5 straight against the Patriots as favorites. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's Dolphins or nothing for me. I would probably like the Dolphins at 2.5 points and a teaser, or if you could get them at 3 and like a 6 point teaser, 3.5. Um, I'd like that more. Line seems a little bit high, especially considering the last game went with 7. I do know they're in Miami. I'm concerned that New England may have found some things out about themselves last week, so I'm not rushing to go and bet against New England this week. Maybe that's just recency bias. But yeah, so low confidence play. I think you go Miami or nothing here. Same thing with the over under. I think in a Miami game, when the number's at 46.5, considering what the Patriots were able to do last week, I think you lean to the over. But no real confidence. The game actually would have hit the under the first game. So, you know, again, if forced choice, pick the over, but very low confidence on that game there. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading to Pittsburgh. Jacksonville only laying 2 points now on the road. Over under set for 41, minus 125 on the money line for the Jags as the road favorite, plus 105, essentially even money for Pittsburgh here. Always very dangerous to bet against Mike Tomlin as a road dog. I am going to look for Jacksonville here, though. They've actually covered 7 straight on the road. And another play to look at would be Jacksonville first half. I saw on a podcast that I listened to that Jacksonville has actually been one of the best first half teams in football, whereas Pittsburgh's offense has been remarkably bad in the first half. So if you want to get at this game, I think Jacksonville has a good chance to win this anyway, even though the Steelers are coming off the bye. And I tend not to like to bet against good coaches coming off the bye, but I really like what Jacksonville's doing. I really like what they were able to do in New Orleans. Basically sort of, giving the Saints a closer win margin, even though the Jaguars were in control for most of that game. I like what I've seen from Jacksonville. I would be on the Jacksonville side, especially Jacksonville first half as well. Over, under, I think you go under based on the defenses involved. I don't like the fact that Pittsburgh has been sort of getting these late comeback wins. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it against Jacksonville in this game. I'm leaning Jacksonville, and I lean under because I do think the defenses could show up and put forward a good performance. Next game we have on the slate, Los Angeles Rams going to Dallas for a 1 o'clock game. Line right now is set at 6. Cowboys -6, over under set 45.5. The money line for the Cowboys set at -278, plus 225 on the comeback. My line for this game is, again, another one I'm not really looking to play, although I do lean to the Cowboys, especially, again, we talked about it. They got a big game coming up next week against the Eagles. I think they're going to come out motivated at home. And I'm just not really sort of a big fan of the Rams. I don't like how they performed last week against the Steelers, only scoring 17 points, giving up the game late. I'm not a big guy on the Rams. I think Dallas is a better team. So I definitely go with Dallas under a touchdown here. The numbers are not in my favor, though. Just be aware of that. Rams have been very good off a loss, covering 7 of their last 8 after a loss. Dallas also has failed to cover their last 7 games against the NFC West. So again, I like the Cowboys. The numbers really don't support that. Dallas is also off a bye, generally, against coaches who were suspect. I don't really like to bet teams off the bye, so I'm going to pass with this one. I would go for the over, though. Dallas's defense, again, they could rush the passer. I think they could force some turnovers, but I do also think they could give up some big plays to the Rams. And we know that the Rams' defense is suspect. They could certainly give up big plays as well. So definitely looking for the over in that game. All right, so moving on to the next one here. We got the Battle of New York. New York Jets -3 going up against the Giants. Like I said, Jets 3-point favorite currently in New York. Over under set at a paltry 35.5. Jets -155 on the money line. Giants set at +130. This is actually going to be one of my favorite plays of the week. I'm going Giants +3 here. I generally don't like to bet teams off the bye, especially with unproven coaches. And I feel like the Jets have struggled off the bye in years past. The Giants have actually covered 6 of their last 7 at home against the AFC and 4 straight against the AFC at home. And I think this game, too, has to do with sort of the Jets' defense. I think the defense has been very overrated considering the fact when you look at the numbers, top half as a scoring defense, but their yards allowed are in the bottom half of the league. They've made a lot of bones off turnovers. And I think if the Giants, especially with Tyrod Taylor playing, could keep the turnovers low, I think that this has a chance to be a very close game. And I actually think that the Giants have a very good chance to win this game outright. I like what their defense has done the past couple of weeks against the Bills and Washington. And I think they could corral a Jets offense that, let's be honest, has not been the reason why they've been winning the games. So I think this game could be close. I like the line 3. If you could get the Giants above 3, I think that's a slam dunk, especially considering the over-under. I don't think you really have a choice but to play the Jets under here just because, again, I don't have a lot of faith in really either of these offenses to put up a lot of points. And I think the Giants defense may really surprise a lot of people and shut down, again, a mediocre at best Jets offense that's probably below average. So that's going to be my play for that game. The next game that we have, Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, one of the biggest movers on the card, as the Minnesota Vikings are now a -1 point favorite after opening as a dog. Money line set -118 for the Vikings, -102 on the comeback. Over under set at 42. I was a lot higher on this game earlier in the week. Vikings have been very good as road favorites, although one of my concerns in this game was that the home teams actually covered in 4 straight against these teams in this series. Minnesota really has played well to sort of salvage their season. I don't like the Packers. I don't think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I don't like the line move. I really like Minnesota as a dog earlier in the week. I kind of just feel like I missed the boat when it came to the Vikings, considering that they're now a favorite. But I think the only way to look is Minnesota. I have no faith in this Packers team. They haven't been good. You never know in these NFC North Division games, which is why it's not higher on the slate. But if I have to make a choice here, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. And as for the over-under, I am going to go and make the under in this game my play of the week. The reason why I have no faith in the Packers defense, we saw Minnesota as well. Even though they've been winning, they haven't scored much above 20 in a lot of these games. I could see this being maybe another 19-13 type game like the Chicago game. I think Minnesota's offense could end up kicking a lot of field goals, sort of controlling the game. I don't expect a lot out of the Packers offense. So I could see this being a close game. I do think Minnesota is going to get the job done. But again, unfortunately, with the line moves, that really sort of, changed my opinion of this game. Only a couple more in the 1 o'clock segment of the video here. Got the Houston Texans going to Carolina, minus 3.5 point favorites against a team that has not covered all year. Over under set at 43.5, minus 175 on the money line for your road favorite Texans, 145 or plus 145 on the comeback. Another game, this one kind of soured on me. I was liking Houston a lot more earlier in the week. I still find it really hard to get to Carolina, as I do think Houston's improved. I haven't really seen anything from Carolina to suggest that they're going to be better. I think the bye week is big for a rookie quarterback like Bryce Young to sort of work some things out, potentially sort of come up with something new. My problem with this game is that the Panthers' pass defense has actually been relatively good. They just can't stop the run. Unfortunately for the Texans, they really can't run the ball. The numbers kind of do lean towards Houston. Carolina's lost 8 of 9 against the AFC, but they've actually beaten Houston the last 4 times they played the game. Like I said, I really have a bad feeling that Carolina might cover this game, especially considering it's a battle of the sort of, 1 and 2 rookie quarterbacks. So I could see Carolina getting up for this game. I do think Houston's the better team. I can only look Houston here. In a close game, again, considering the offenses involved, really close. I lean very slightly to the over here. But again, I expect it to be a close game. I expect it to be around the number. This to me looks like a game that could be between sort of 3 and 6 points, and an over-under that could be in between like 42 and 45 points. So tough game to really handicap there. Going to be looking more at prop plays later in the week. 2 more for the 1 o'clock slate, so we're almost through here on the, solo portion of the video. Did get a text from Big Bucks that he may join me soon, so that's exciting. So the second half of the video may include my boy Big Bucks, but going to Tennessee, where the Tennessee Titans, who appear that they may be tanking, taking on the Falcons. Falcons, 2.5 point favorites on the road, minus 142 on the money line, plus 120 for the dog Titans. Over under a paltry 35 points. What is it with these low over-unders this week? So, new strategy here. I have been very susceptible to being suckered by injury news, and it looks like Tannehill is going to be out for the Titans. But I am not going to rush into this game headlong and just bet Atlanta blindly. I do still like Atlanta. I liked them before, even with Tannehill. I'm very concerned about the trade of the safety Baird for the Titans. Suggests to me that maybe the Titans are giving up on this season. It could be tank time for them. Maybe they're even looking at a quarterback. I mean, we're going to see what Will Levis and Malik Willis could show us for the Titans. They're supposed to be splitting time this week. I don't know if I want to go against Vrabel with the bye. Like I said, I think Atlanta's the way. You got to look here. Falcons have won 6 straight against the AFC, albeit that they haven't covered any of those, strangely enough. But the line is very low, so I think an Atlanta win gives you the cover. But yeah, I really don't have high hopes for this game. I think the sucker play here is to go with Tennessee, but I just couldn't get there. I think Atlanta would be the play for me. As for the over-under, this is going to be my over of the week. Going with the over 35 here, I just think this is such a massive overreaction for the Tannehill injury. I think the quarterback play the Titans will get will be slightly below what they would have gotten with Tannehill, and I just think the number went way too far in the other direction. So definitely think that the over is, the only play here. And like I said, my over of the week in a week where I think a lot of the unders are favorites. So, and then finally, the New Orleans Saints traveling to Indianapolis. The Saints are minus 1 point favorite, minus 120 on the money line, plus 100 on the comeback for the Colts. Over under set 43.5. And my handicap for this game, not very complex. Why are the Saints a road favorite again? Very good spot for them against Jacksonville, and they laid a complete egg on Thursday night. Um, Saints have not covered their last 8 as favorites. I don't know what this number is. There's only one way I could look, and it's Indianapolis, preferably on a teaser. I think this is going to be an under game. The Saints last, I think, 6 games as favorites, or their last 8 games, maybe. No, last 6 games have gone under as favorites. I expect this to be a close defensive battle, but we saw that Indianapolis could handle a tough defense. They played a good game against Cleveland, probably should have won the game. I like Indianapolis here, very high play. Just missed being a dog of the week. I actually have a dog that I like later on in the 4 o'clock segment, but I really like Indianapolis. I think this is a definite teaser play, and I have no idea why the Saints are road favorites again, because they consistently have found ways to lose as road favorites. Bet them at your own risk. I am certainly not going to be doing that again. So, all in all, that's all she wrote for the 1 o'clock picks. Like I said, I got a text message from Big Bucks while I was doing this stream that he may potentially be joining me for the second half. So stay tuned for that. Probably have a longer video if he comes out, but as always, that was my 1 o'clock pick segment. Hope you guys found some useful nuggets. And as always, boys and girls, make that motherfucking money. Take it easy.